Hey, it's Jason Creel. I wanted to take a minute to talk to you over some do's and don'ts to dealing with rich people, how to talk to rich people. Now, before you get misunderstood, understand that I don't know how to talk to rich people because I'm rich, because I'm, obviously not. But being in the lawn care business, you run across wealthy clients, and some of them, you've heard the old expression, you can't hide money, they can't hide their money, or maybe they can, they just don't want to. So let's go for it. 3 do's and 3 don'ts of talking with the wealthy. All right, I had to write these down because I didn't want to forget. We'll start with the don'ts, as I tend to be fairly negative. Why don't we just go negative to start off? So don't be intimidated, okay? When I first started, I remember starting in the lawn business, and I had a guy that had been doing this for a long time, and I went and talked to him, and I was saying, talking to him about a particular neighborhood. It was one of the wealthier neighborhoods in the city, and I said, I don't know if I'm, cut out for that neighborhood. And he stopped me and he said, you know what, I felt the same way when I started. And I had a lady, had a big landscaping job. This is the guy telling me the story. Had a big landscaping job, and she told me she wanted me to do it, and he said, he basically was encouraging, said, don't be intimidated by that neighborhood, by the wealthier clients. He said, go after it. Even if you're just starting out, go for those clients, and don't let that stop you. So number 1, don't be intimidated. Number 2, some of you may disagree with this, but let's hear me out. Don't overcharge. I think there's a perception out there that, hey, they've got a lot of money, I'm going to charge extra, and I want to come back to this in a little bit, because I think you need to really be careful on how we talk about this. But I don't look at them and say, well, they're wealthy, I'm going to charge them more per se. I had a friend of mine who's a doctor, and I helped him buy a zero-turn mower one time. And he was well known in the community, and he just basically told me that he said, I've never gotten a good deal on anything because people know I'm a doctor, And anyway, I felt like we got a pretty good deal on the zero-turn mower I was helping him, buy. But I don't overcharge people because they're wealthy per se. But like I said, I want to hold that thought, and we're going to come back to that when we get to the do's. Because there's something that we need to add before that's a complete thought. All right, and the last of the don'ts, don't get taken advantage of. So sometimes some rich people have the perception that, that people are here for me. I've hired you, you need to do everything I say when I say it. If I call you 4 times a day to come out, you need to stop what you're doing and come out 4 times a day and do what I say. Don't get taken advantage of in those situations. Now let me stop myself and say this. I meant to say this at the beginning of the video, but I think in a sense, and this was possibly a 4th don't, don't stereotype. Don't think that all rich people are out there to take advantage, or to, gonna treat you bad, have extremely high expectations. I have found that some of my most reasonable customers are the wealthy ones. I had a conversation with a guy today that obviously was wealthy. It's one of these guys you think, well, I would sell my house and live in his garage, just super nice house. And talking to him, he came across extremely reasonable. And I've got other examples in my mind of customers who don't have ultra high expectations. Now, let me be clear, some of them do, okay? Some people who are not rich do too, but I have found some of the sure enough wealthy people to be very reasonable. So don't go in stereotyping, expecting that they're going to be super high maintenance because they're wealthy, but understand that, hey, some of them are. So let's get on to the do's. So this is where I would balance out the don't overcharge with the first of the do's. Do clarify the expectations, okay? I had a customer years ago, okay, and this taught me a lot. I went in and gave it, this guy wanted a 12-month, mowing, clean up my leaves in the fall, that sort of thing. And I came in with a price that I thought was fair and reasonable, profitable for me. This is the only customer I've ever had do this, but I still remember it. He said, "That's not enough. You need to charge me more." And so I did. I charged him more. I said, "Okay, well, how about this price?" And I remember after a year or so, he came back and wanted to make sure that I thought it was still fair. He said, "You know, if you need to go up on me again, go ahead." And I said, "No, I'm happy where we're at." But I really appreciated him coming back and telling me to go up on my price, because he was basically telling me, I'm going to have a little bit higher expectations, so I'd rather you go ahead and charge me a little bit more, knowing that my expectations are a little bit higher. And he did. He had a little bit higher expectations, not unreasonable, but I appreciate him being upfront about that, paying me the extra, and I felt like we had a good working relationship. So when I'm talking about with a wealthy client, you may have to clarify your expectations on, you know, what do they want? Or do they want, you know, if you just have operation where you just go out there and mow and blow and go and that sort of thing, and you know, that might not be what they're up for. They might want full service, everything, want it looking perfect 52 weeks out of the year, and they're willing to pay for that. Okay, so you need to be willing to charge them for that, and to know what they want. And once the expectation, you say, yeah, you know what, I can provide those services for you, but this is what it's going to cost, you know. So clarify expectations on both ends, from the customer, what they expect of you, what you expect of the customer, and then, hey, we can agree or disagree on a price. But don't go in just assuming they're going to be low maintenance, so I'm going to give them a cheap price, or assuming they're going to be high maintenance and give them a high price. Do treat them like a normal person. You know, like I said, I've found some of these guys that are, you got, maybe they're a successful lawyer, the real estate tycoon in the area, a physician. You know, I was talking with a doctor today, couldn't have been more down to earth. Yeah, I mean, it was so down to earth, normal conversation. And that kind of guy I would love to have as a customer. He wasn't my customer, he was just a neighbor. But, you know, just treat them like a normal person until they let you know otherwise. I mean, if they want to be called, you know, majesty or whatever, then they're going to correct you when you talk to them like a normal person. But for many of them, they, you know, even if they're a doctor, they don't necessarily want to be called a doctor at home. I mean, some of them might, but you know, just treat them normal and let them correct you if they feel like you're not being formal enough or whatever. So and then lastly on the do's is do what you say. You know, at the end of the day, what I have found is wealthy people, they might be a little hesitant because they're wealthy and they think people are trying to overcharge them. So they may come off a little defensive at first, but I feel like once you earn their trust, then, you know, you got a great customer who most of the time is going to be no problem paying and may even be generous to you at times. So if you'll just do what you say, earn their trust, and that's all they want. I mean, most of the time these people may be successful businessmen or you know, like I said, have some big profession job. They just don't want the hassle of dealing with it. They just like, hey, I know the yard's taken care of, I got Jason taking care of that, and I don't have to worry about it, you know. And they don't care if that costs an extra $50 a month or what, you know. I don't want to worry about it. And if you'll just do what you say, earn their trust and build that little bit of relationship, you know, maybe check in every once in a while, make sure that you're meeting expectations, and then, you know, I think a lot of times these can be very profitable customers, and perhaps can help you get in with some other wealthy clients in a particular area of town. So anyway, these are the do's and don'ts of talking with the wealthy. Please add to the list, and if you haven't so far, go ahead and subscribe. Click the bell beside the subscribe button to be notified of new videos, and I hope this has been helpful to you. Thanks.